Hello and welcome to another stamping segment. I'm going to be stamping out a island mountain and fountain of light. I did these designs a long time ago and I was looking at some old ads from 20 years ago at this time, and I don't know, I really felt like stamping out this kind of volcano scene. Let me see, before I stamp out that mountain, I'm just going to put some clouds in the foreground here. Okay, sometimes I like doing some clouds kind of both in front of and behind the mountain. It kind of makes it sit kind of in a pillow of imagery, soft imagery. Okay, this is just a paper towel mask right here. I'm just going to do a loose mask. I'm going to wipe off the bottom of this a little bit so I don't get a harsh line, just soften it up some. I took off about an inch of some of the imagery. Not completely, but it'll dry it off a little bit. Okay. Alright. The mountain is sitting in front of, or in back of the clouds now. Why not add some additional clouds? Kind of in back of the mountain. I won't bother masking that mountain off. I don't think I really need to. The scene's going to get fairly dark, so I'm like not even worried about it. Okay. It's the fountain of light design. I don't want to do this one too light, because if I do, the design is fairly delicate in terms of what it's comprised of, which is a lot of little dots like that. But just to go for a little bit of variation, this is a red crimson lake Marby brush marker, and just kind of going along with some of the little, I don't know what you would call this, little plumes of light coming out like that. Okay, let's wipe some of this off on the perimeter. Kind of a little trick there just to kind of get rid of some of the rectangular element of the stamp design. And I'll stamp it about half an inch or so into the mountain. Alright, something like that. Okay. Now, again, a fairly delicate area right in there. So, when I start adding tone, I don't want that shape to disappear, so by the way, I'm going to go with something like this color scheme right here. I've taken my brown color scheme and just added some reddish plum tones in there. And for my base, I'm going to go with this conch shell. It's the yellow seashells color, which is now called Adirondack Lights Lemonade, I believe. Okay. I could use a lemonade pad, but if you've seen some of the previous videos, sometimes I just like to go straight with a re-inker fluid, so it gives me a lot of coverage. Alright. Defining my light and shade, or my lights through the use of shade, rather. Okay. Kind of want to retain some of those little areas of light. So I'm going to be careful not to go over all of them. Maybe some of my mountain peaks will be, you know, illuminated by the light coming from this molten blast. Okay. Probably not how a real, you know, eruption would look like, but I'm not necessarily concerned with realism as much as trying to go for drama here. Okay, that's the first color. Starting off with my light color for my light tones. This is the pale orange. I still have a lot of the re-inker fluid in here, so we're not going to see too much pure pale orange, but it's kind of a good color to start off with in the color scheme that I happen to be working in. Okay. Number 63, wine. Okay. Darkening in some areas of the mountain here. Going for some perimeter tone. Okay. Number 6, brown. Okay, as I can see, that was a pretty big jump in value there. Corners. Okay. Number 64, plum. Testing it out. I like that good, rich tone, reddish tone. Okay. Adding it in. Background's getting fairly dark. The cloud imagery still has been retained, but it's starting to get a little bit darker and less defined. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that later. Okay, working around some of these areas, so I'm trying to get into those areas without getting rid of some of these plumes. I'm trying to have some of these plumes of light stand out a little bit more, so I'm making the area around them a little bit darker. Kind of have this tool at a bit of an angle to reach in there. Okay, see how that kind of continues out because I didn't color in that spot. Same thing, find my way in there a little bit more. Okay. And by the way, this is a quarter page, 4.25 by 5.5 piece of glossy cardstock. Okay. All right. Dark brown. Same color that was used on a lot of the imagery to start off with, you know. Okay. It looks a little different and acts a little bit different when you have it on, you know. Now it's the fifth color that was used, you know. It was also the first color used. First time you stamp it onto a dry piece of paper, the paper is more absorbent, so those impressions are a little bit darker. Because this ink isn't being absorbed into the paper very quickly. Because it's kind of wet, it's damp right now from all the colors that I'm using. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now I mentioned I was going to do something. I'm taking my cloud stamp again, inking it up in dark brown. I'm going to wipe off that part of it on the rubber, top portion. Okay, and I'm going to go for some additional imagery, just to kind of add a little bit of depth and texture. Okay, something like that. Let's add a little bit more framing to the scene as well. Okay, four corners with black. Okay, black is looking pretty dramatic, isn't it? And it's all kind of coming together for me now. In terms of the composition starting to look a little bit more cohesive. And here it happens to be, you know, the last color that I could really go with. In terms of the toning process, you know, adding value to the overall. Okay, we got a real smoky kind of look down here with this particular color combination. Color combinations aren't really a formula or something like that in my head. I don't know, I was just kind of guessing. You know, the colors the Marvy pads are color coded, so I just kind of put them together and I thought that looked pretty good. Okay. Does it look kind of like a volcano and kind of a smoky atmosphere? Alright, now let's say this is sometime, could have been, you know, millions and millions of years ago in a tropical location. This is a large palm frond. I'm just going to use it to kind of give a bit of a foreground to the composition. Okay, so something like that. Okay. That looks a touch busy to me down here, so I'm going to kind of blend that in a little bit more with some additional black ink. Really frame off the top with some additional value. And there we go. Kind of ominous looking with this particular color combination.